So I pre-pulled all of your cards, and I just want to explain which deck represents what. So we're taking a look at how your future spouse will view you over time. So with the Sailor Moon deck here, these cards here, these will represent how your future spouse views you, when they first meet you, okay? They don't know you that well. You guys have just started talking. Maybe you haven't met in person yet if you meet your future spouse online. But just in those initial conversations, how are they viewing you, okay? And then with the Pastel Journey Tarot deck here, these cards here, this is representing how your future spouse will view you once you two start dating. Okay, things start to get more serious. And finally, with the Crystal Unicorn deck, these cards over here, this is representing how your future spouse will feel about you once you two are actually married, okay? How do they feel about the relationship? Okay, and then, we'll go from there. So, starting off here with the Sailor Moon deck, when they first meet you, group 1, I think it's really significant that we have the 5 of Compacts, which is the 5 of Pentacles, next to the 10 of Compacts or the 10 of Pentacles, because this is telling me that even in those first few conversations with you, they realize right away, this is someone different. This is someone special. This is someone who has what I've been looking for, like what's been missing when I've been talking to other people. So before, where there was a lack with the 5 of Pentacles, where they just weren't feeling it, like maybe the people that they were talking to before, there just wasn't any depth to the conversations, or it just felt very surface level, very superficial, or it felt like they were having to try too hard, or it felt artificial, the conversation felt forced, or they were trying to convince themselves to give it a chance, or for whatever reason they just weren't feeling it, like it may be something that they can't even really describe, like they were okay, they were nice, on paper they seemed perfect for me, but I wasn't feeling that spark. I wasn't feeling that sense of connection. And so with you, whatever was missing before, it's like with you, I found those missing pieces. What I wasn't getting before, now I'm finally getting. And so it's like a nice surprise for them too, because I really feel like I don't know, I won't say they had given up on love necessarily, but it was kind of this feeling of like, I'm going to keep trying to date, or I'm going to keep trying to talk to people, but I'm starting to become a bit like I'm just going through the motions. So it was like a sense of disconnection. Like I'm making myself do it because I do want to settle down. I do want to meet somebody, but I'm not really feeling it. I'm just doing it because I feel like I should versus I'm having a good time, So I won't say that they're totally jaded or they've totally lost hope. I don't think it's gotten to that point for most of you when we're talking about your future spouse, but they were getting to that point when they ended up meeting you. And when they meet you and you two start talking with this Tower card,
it's completely out of the blue for them. Because again, I feel like they had lowered their expectations so much that to then meet you, it was like a shock to the system. And it does feel overwhelming. It does feel like, oh my God, I don't want to mess this up. And I think that's where this Tower is coming in, is like this fear of self-sabotaging, this fear of you deciding, I'm not really feeling it, you know, like they don't want you to ghost them. They don't want you to disappear from their life. And I think it scares them, this idea that all of a sudden, like, it's almost like their happiness or their potential for happiness is placed in your hands. And I think that makes them super nervous, that they already kind of feel like some of their power is being shifted over to you, you know, because they are, with this Knight of Cups, starting to catch feelings already. So it doesn't take long for them to start to feel an emotional connection towards you, an emotional attachment towards you. It doesn't take very long. And I will say also, with this Tower card, there's something about you that's totally unexpected for them. So it could be that you are just really different from their past partners, you know, or the other people that they were dating. Like, maybe you're sweeter, maybe you're softer, maybe you're more of an intellectual, maybe you're funnier. There's just something about you that's like a breath of fresh air. And it almost feels like there's something so special about you, and they can't exactly put it into words, but there's just something unique about you that they find super endearing, because there is this feeling of adoration towards you, and this feeling of, I don't know, I do feel like they're romanticizing you a bit in this stage, like this feeling of this person's like almost too good for this world kind of thing. I don't know, I'm feeling this like cozy, I want to protect this person kind of feeling. And with this Knight of Cups here next to the Tower, there's a lot of physical attraction as well. I don't think I mentioned that before, but there's something here. There's something about you, again, that's different than their usual type or the usual person that they go for. But again, it's like a breath of fresh air. There's something about your temperament that they really, really like. I don't know if you're a super positive person or you're very relaxed. Maybe you have a very calming energy, or maybe you're the type of person where you have a really good sense of humor and you laugh a lot and they find that really attractive. But there's something about your temperament that they really find, I'm hearing soothing. There's something very soothing about your temperament. Something about it that makes them feel really comfortable with you, very at ease with you right away. There's not a lot of awkwardness here. And they are going to be very flirtatious towards you. I also feel like your person comes off as super confident and, you know, very straightforward, not afraid to express, you know, how they're feeling. But I think, again, inside, they're super overwhelmed, and you wouldn't guess that from how they're acting. But I think inside they are insecure. They are afraid that, you know, you're gonna lose interest, that you're gonna ghost them, or just, you know, decide that you're not interested in dating them or whatever. They also really, really love your style. Something about the way you dress. Or if you wear makeup, it could be your the way you do your makeup or the way you do your hair. If you're a man, maybe they like the way, I don't know, like you style your facial hair, I don't know. But there's something there to where they really like your style, they really like your aesthetic, I'm hearing. I think also part of what makes them so attracted to you in the beginning is this idea that, because we were talking a little bit about how they were starting to feel a bit disconnected, kind of over it, not quite jaded, but getting there. You know, they hadn't totally lost hope, but they were getting there, right? And there's something about you, and I think that you are typically someone who has like a sunnier disposition, but there's something about you where you make them see possibilities where they didn't before. I feel like there's something about your perspective maybe you're more of an idealist, or maybe you're someone who just tries to look towards the bright side. And I think that they find that, I feel like they find that very comforting. And I think they need a little bit of that. You're like a little bit of a dose of sunshine for them, right when they need it the most. Because I'm being drawn to these pentacles, and it feels like you don't have these harsh edges to you. You just seem softer. There's something just very soothing, very calming, very comfortable about being with you. There's a coziness to you, like a fleece blanket. Like there's just something very cozy to you that I think that they really enjoy here. And I think that's part of it too, is that nothing here is forced. It feels very comfortable. It feels very easy. So I could see you two developing a friendship at the same time that these romantic feelings are developing as well. Now, once we move on to when you two are actually dating here, with this Ace of Cups, I do think that they will be the one to ask you out on a date. They'll be the one to express feelings first. They'll probably be the first to say, I love you. They'll probably be the first to express that they want to have a future with you. And I think it's because there's that anxiety, right? Like, I don't want to lose this person. I don't want them to think I'm not serious about it. And so it's like, this is what I want. Here are my cards. I'm laying them out on the table. This is what I want. And so, they're not playing any games. They're not messing around here. And I think, this person's very mature. They've been dating for a while. They're not out here trying to manipulate. They know what they want, and that's it. That's where they're at with it. Now, I do think with this Eight of Swords, that kind of anxiety sort of continues. And I don't think it's necessarily anything that you're doing. I think it's just that they feel so strongly about you that they have this fear of self-sabotaging. They have this fear of you just waking up one day and changing your mind. And they're dealing with it. They're trying to cope with it. Again, I feel like you would be totally unaware that they're going through this because they seem on the outside so confident, so self-assured, but internally, this is how they're feeling. They could be over-analyzing what you're doing. So, they could be thinking twice about that text you just sent, or thinking about, how long it took you to respond, or, if you said you're not available to see them, their mind might start wandering. Is she seeing, or is he seeing someone else, kind of thing. And again, I feel like you would be totally unaware of this. It's just something that's going on in their mind, and they're trying really hard to cope with their own anxiety and not let it affect you and not let it affect the relationship, because I think logically they know it's all in their head. Emotionally, they're still going through it, but I feel like they're a rational person. They know it's just their own mind working against them and getting scared. And so they're really trying hard not to let it affect the relationship. And the flirtatious energy continues here. But I also feel like with this Knight of Cups in particular, it always reminds me of that meme of like the couple walking down the street and the guy's looking over his shoulder at another girl. Now, don't freak out when I say that. What I mean by that is that I feel like you are the distraction. Once you two start dating, it does become harder for them to get you out of their mind. Because remember, we were talking about them having this anxiety too. And so it's like they're finding it harder to focus when they're with their friends. They're finding it harder to be present at work. They're finding it harder to not have you cloud their thoughts all the time. You're just on their mind a lot. And I think this is when you're initially dating, not once you're in a committed relationship with them. I just feel like, it's really hard for them not to fixate on you and to not fixate on the relationship and where it's going. Because like I said, they just have this fear of messing it up and not wanting to lose you and not wanting to, have this go sour, because they have dated for a while. They have had other relationships not work out, you know? And so this isn't first love kind of energy, you know? They've waited, you know? They've waited to meet someone like you. They haven't settled for less, you know? They've been waiting, they've been looking, they've been searching, half-heartedly searching, but they've been searching, you know? And so to have finally found you, they just don't want to mess it up. And so I do think that energy of them romanticizing you has continued. However, I do feel like once you start dating, with this Princess of Pentacles being here, they do start to see more of your authentic self and see you through a more realistic lens, and they're not romanticizing you as much, which sounds like a negative thing, but it's a very positive thing, because you don't want them to fall in love with an idealized version of you. That's okay when you're in the honeymoon phase, right? But when that fades away, they need to love and want to be with your authentic, real self, right? And your real self is flawed, complicated, dynamic, you know, like the rest of us. Everybody has that, right? Everyone has a shadow side. And so you want to be with someone who sees you and accepts you and loves you for who you truly are, not a romanticized version. So I'm really happy to see this Princess of Pentacles here, because this tells me that even when the honeymoon phase kind of peels away here, they still are very much in love with your real, authentic, messy human self, right? Okay, and I will say as well, if I don't think I mentioned this before, but they are going to put so much effort into getting to know you, into dating you, into the relationship in general. And I also feel like if there are complicating factors with this connection, like it's long distance, or you're from different cultural backgrounds, already has children, or just something like that, some sort of extenuating circumstance, they are going to be willing to compromise, to problem solve, to work it out. You know, they're not going to let anything like that block the connection from developing. So they're 100% committed and willing to make this work. So they won't be expecting you to always be the one having to make certain sacrifices, or you know, anything like that. I will also say, as you two start dating each other more, and remember how I said that romanticized view of you was going to eventually melt away and they were going to see you for who you truly are, I think that that's going to be something that helps to ease their anxiety as well, because they're going to start to realize you're not perfect, because nobody is, right? And they're going to start to realize that you two actually have some things in common here, and that actually some of the anxieties that they have are the same anxieties that you have. And so I feel like there's going to be a moment when you two are dating where you have this heart-to-heart conversation and you realize they're just as scared as I am. You know, and I think that's going to be something that's really reassuring to them, that, hey, like, I'm not the only one who was afraid of screwing this up. I'm not the only one who's afraid of losing the other person. You know, they're going through it just the same way I'm going through it, because falling in love, as exciting as it can also be quite scary, right? And so I think that's going to be kind of a surprising revelation to them, because I also feel like they sort of look at you like they almost feel like they don't, I won't say they feel like they don't deserve you, because this is a confident person, but they almost feel like they got super lucky. They got super, super lucky to have met you. And it's like, I don't want to waste my chance here. I don't want to waste my opportunity here, kind of thing. And so to see that you feel the same way, to see that you are just as infatuated with them as they are with you, that you're falling as hard for them as they are for you, is going to be super, comforting for them to realize. Now with this 3 of Pentacles, 2 of Swords, 9 of Pentacles, 6 of Pentacles, 4 of Cups, and the Knight of Wands, we have a lot going on once you two are married. So I definitely feel like with the 3 of Pentacles here, your future spouse has a lot of plans for your future, a lot of plans. I could see them wanting to build a home with you, wanting to start a business with you, wanting to start a family with you. There's just a lot of plans that they have. And, some of those things may resonate for some of you, some of those things may not. So just, take what does resonate. But they have a lot of long-term plans for the future. And the beautiful thing about this 3 of Pentacles here is that, they want your input. They're not just sitting here saying, this is what I want to do for our future. They're asking you. And it's a true collaboration. It's a true partnership here. And so, they want to really and truly build a future with you. They're not just trying to bring you into their life and see where you fit in, kind of thing. They're like carving space for you in their life. And they're trying to make you an integral part of their future. So it's not just like you move in and nothing changes. You get married, nothing changes. They're willing and wanting to make a lot of changes so that you feel involved in their life and they feel involved in yours. And with this 2 of Swords here, there's this energy of, I would choose you again and again and again. Like intuitively, I just know that you're the one. And I would choose you over and over again, no matter how many times we fight, no matter how many times we disagree, when we have, challenges come up that we weren't expecting, hardships that we weren't expecting, I would still choose you again and again and again. And with this 9 of Pentacles too, I also feel like there's something about your relationship with your future spouse where you start to, I know before you were a bit distracting to them from their work, but once you two are married and you all are settled down, I think that they become very motivated to advance themselves in their career, even further than they already are, because they really and truly want to provide a beautiful future for you two. I think, it's really important for them to have that financial security and to be able to give you that, even if you have your own career, or, you two start a business together or anything like that. They just want to make sure that the future is secured financially for you two. They really are thinking in the long term, and they want to give you, that security, that stability. They don't want you to have to worry about it. Like if you make your own money, great, but I don't want you to have to worry about money, kind of thing. And they have this attitude of what's mine is yours. They definitely aren't stingy in any sort of way, or possessive over their belongings or anything like that. Like what's mine is yours. And with this 4 of Cups here, I do feel like your future spouse tends to be just a little bit more pessimistic than you are. And I think sometimes it's hard for them to see that conflict that arises between you two. And there's always going to be conflict, right? You're never going to have any type of relationship in your life that is completely devoid of conflict. There's always going to be some level of conflict, right? It's just not, it's just not realistic to say we're never ever going to argue. Like couples who say they never argue, I'm always like side-eyeing, because you may not argue often, but everyone argues, right? And so I think with this 4 of Cups here, sometimes it's hard for them to see that conflict or disagreements are normal, and even sometimes healthy, because we do need to occasionally challenge our partners, that's how we help each other to grow. And so I think sometimes they may just agree with you or just try to please you to avoid the conflict and not say how they really feel. Or sometimes they might just kind of almost ruminate too much on the argument, take it to heart too much. And they may start to question, they may start to question and fall back into this Eight of Swords and think that you're having doubts, and start to worry that, is our marriage going to last? And it's like, why are you catastrophizing? Why are you going to the worst case scenario just because we had an argument? And I think that might be something that they have to work on themselves over time. They have to get more comfortable with conflict. They have to get more comfortable sometimes saying no to you, because I feel like it's really hard for them to say no to you. Over time, they're going to have to start to realize people have conflict. No matter how compatible you are with someone, you're going to have conflict. At some point in time, there's going to be a miscommunication, an argument, a disagreement. It's normal and it's healthy. And I feel like they're just going to have to work that out on their own. That's going to be something that they have to figure out for themselves. You can't do that inner work for them. And we're all meant to learn something through our relationships with each other. I think this is their lesson. You have your own lesson, I'm sure, but this is their lesson. But there is this energy of like, I don't want you to think I'm taking you for granted either. I want you to know that I appreciate you. I want you to know that I'm grateful to you. And I feel like they're really good at expressing that. And with this Knight of Wands here, I feel like their love for you continues to be fueled by this idea that you're really good for me because you have this optimism. You have this sunny outlook. You get me out of my own dark thoughts sometimes. Like you help me to see that this is my anxiety and that this isn't real. And I feel like they just continue to love so much your sense of humor and your attitude and your temperament, and it's the way that you make them feel. And that, continues to feel that love that they, had for you in the very beginning here. It just continues onward. They love how playful you are. They love your sense of humor. They love how lighthearted you can be. They love how adventurous and spontaneous you can be at times. And I think also they kind of really admire how you speak your mind, because I think that's hard for them sometimes, because they do have this tendency towards people pleasing, at least when it comes to you. Like they have a hard time saying no. And so with you, the way you're able to assert your boundaries, the way you're able to just say how you feel, and the way that you aren't afraid of conflict, I think is something that they really respect. And so, yeah, I do feel like, in that regard, they have a lot of admiration and they are going to learn a lot from you. Let's just get some more details now about your future spouse and relationship in general. So we'll just get some open-ended messages here. Group 1. Okay, Group 1, we have Universe, trust in the universe, divine timing. With this card coming out, some of you may be sitting here wondering, but Bethany, when am I going to meet them? And Spirit is saying here, divine timing. Like that is what it is, which honestly, I know divine timing can be sometimes a frustrating thing to hear, but the beautiful thing about divine timing is that if you have anything in your life that you think could be potentially holding you back from meeting your future spouse, like if you are, still talking to your ex, or if you still, look at your social media, at your ex's page or something like that, or you know that you haven't been putting yourself out there in any sort of way, or, there's some things that I still need to heal from, some inner work I still need to do, or, maybe I need to work on my confidence some. Whatever the case may be, if there's something in your life that could be potentially holding you back in some way from meeting your future spouse that you can identify and that that you can, to an extent, resolve, then you could possibly speed up this divine timing, Now, if it's on your future spouse's end, something they need to work through, then unfortunately, you gotta wait, right? But you want to meet them at the right time. It's awful to meet the right person at the wrong time. You know, like that can just be soul crushing. So I think in this case, it's better to be patient, right? So for example, you don't want to meet your future spouse when they're still in a toxic relationship with someone else, you know, like you want to meet them when they've ended that, they've healed from that, they moved on, they're in a good place, right? Something like that. Okay. Now with fire sign and water sign coming out, so fire sign Leo, Sagittarius, Aries, water sign Pisces, Cancer, Scorpio, this makes a lot of sense to me. Especially if we refer back to your tarot and the messages that we were getting before with this Eight of Swords here. Remember how I said your future spouse comes across as so confident that you would never guess that there's someone who kind of struggles with anxiety, right? I mean, we got those messages quite a few times, you know, and they seem so confident. You would never guess that about them until they open up to you about it. You just wouldn't know. And so, and I think honestly, part of that also comes from them being pretty physically attractive and like charismatic, and you just think, what do they have to be anxious about? You know, especially too, if they have, because they seem pretty successful as well. They seem like a mature person who has their life together. You know, you're like, what do you have to be anxious about? What are you insecure about? But anyway, you make them anxious, group one, you make them anxious. But I think that they might have their sun in a fire sign. They may have an ascendant in a fire sign placement, but then their moon, I would bet their moon is probably in a water sign. And they may have possibly a Mars or a Venus water sign placement. But I would especially bet that they have a water sign moon, and that's why they get in their feelings a bit. Yeah, and with them having this propensity to overthink, they may have a Gemini placement possibly as well. But I definitely feel like a water moon is a possibility here. Okay. Now with this Stormy card, I 110% feel like this is getting into what's going on with them internally. You know, they're going through a whirlwind of emotions. You know, there's a lot. I feel like this is referencing that Tower card in the very beginning. Like, you're turning my world upside down. Like, you are shaking things up. And, you know, you are kind of making me come to terms with the fact that, you know, maybe I'm not as confident as I thought I was, you know? Like, you're making me start to realize that I might have some insecurities that I wasn't even aware of, you know? Because I feel like they compare themselves a lot, and they sit there and they think like, how are they as interested in me as I am in them? Kind of thing. And I mean, sometimes that happens. Like, I had a person that I was dating before I met my husband, and I just could not accept that this person was into me. Like, I just couldn't accept it. It just seemed like so crazy to me that they would be attracted to me. And it got me to thinking, like, it's honestly nothing to do with that person and everything to do with me and some insecurities that I had that I didn't even realize. And so sometimes that happens, you know, sometimes you think you're confident and you're doing great, and then you meet somebody who triggers something within you that you didn't even know was there. So I could definitely see that being a thing here. Now with this Summer card here, I feel like Spirit's throwing you a bone. You know, since they gave you that Divine Timing card, I feel like they're throwing you a bone. And they're saying, listen, June, July, August, or the summer season, depending upon where you live, could be very significant for this connection. So this could be, I'm hearing when things heat up between you two. So it may not be when you two meet, but I think it's going to be when things start to get spicier between you two, and things get real. I'm hearing things are heating up during this time. So they're not telling you when you're meeting them, but they're telling you when things start to get real, okay? During this time frame. Okay, let's go ahead now and we'll get just a few zodiac messages here. Now, I'm not going to use, I think I just want to use the houses because we already got fire sign and water sign. So let's just get some houses to get some more details about your marriage or your connection to your future spouse. Group 1. Okay, we've got the first house. I feel like this connection is going to bring about so much self-development for both of you. And I feel like we talked a lot about how your future spouse is going to grow from knowing you. And the positive influence you're going to be in their life, but they're going to help you grow just as much, okay? But I think, and it may be in your self-development as well, you know, in your identity and how you think about yourself, but you're definitely helping your future spouse in those areas as well. Okay, we have the sixth house. I'm sorry, we have the sixth house. Not slurring my words. Okay. With this number here, this talks about your health. It talks about your day-to-day routine. It talks about your work. I definitely feel like, especially because we got the 3 of Pentacles here, you two have a very positive influence over each other's careers. So, you know, you could support each other if one of you decides to go back to school, or one of you decides to transition into a new career field, or one of you needs to pick up the slack at home because your partner got a huge promotion and now they're working more hours, they're making more money, but maybe, you know, they have more responsibilities now, something like that. Or you two could be starting a business. You could also be the type of couple that likes to work out together, you like to exercise together, cook together, you know, just really healthy, really healthy. Maybe you do a morning meditation together, you know, something like that. Okay, and then we have the second house. So this talks about your personal finances, you know, your material wealth, your belongings. Definitely, I feel like, especially because we also got the 9 of Pentacles here and the 6 of Pentacles and the 3 of Pentacles, I feel like through your marriage with this person, your finances are going to up level. Of course, now you have a dual income, but I think it's more than just that. I think that, you know, you might move up a whole another tax bracket as a result of, you know, being with this person. It can also mean that your future spouse already like owns a nice home, or, you know, maybe gift giving is a love language for them. But I do feel like there's a possibility that they could be more financially well off than you, or their family's more connected, let's say, and there's more opportunities that arise from that. Or, you know, like maybe there's a family business kind of thing. I mean, or there's some generational wealth there kind of thing. All right, group 1, this was your reading. I hope that you enjoyed it. I'm wishing you the very, very best, and I hope to see you in my next one. welcome to your reading. So today we're taking a look at how your future spouse will view you. So we're going to start off with the Sailor Moon cards. These are representing how your future spouse will view you in those initial conversations when they're just getting to know you. Not quite their first impression exactly, although I do have a video on that. But this is just when they start to get to know you, how do they view you? And then with the Pastel Journey Tarot, we're taking a look at how they view you once you start dating each other, once you're in a relationship. And then with the Crystal Unicorn Tarot, we're taking a look at how they will view you once you're actually married, okay? So how does their perception of you change over time? Now with the Sailor Moon deck here, the first thing that I'm noticing is this Five of Swords next to Sailor Mercury here, the Magician, because she in the Sailor Scouts is the strategist. And so with this Five of Swords here, I don't know if you are dating multiple people at the time that you meet your future spouse, or if that's just their perception that you have other offers, or they just assume that you're talking to other people. Maybe you meet online and that's part of where this comes from. Maybe you meet on a dating app, but there's just this sort of feeling from them that you have other options, that there's some competition, especially with the Six of Wands being here. It's almost like, I got to step up, I got to make sure I put in the effort. I've got to put my best foot forward here because they have other options. It's like, and they may just assume that because they're really into you. And so they just may assume that you have other people chasing you kind of thing. So they're going to be the one to really actively pursue you. And they're viewing you as someone who, like I said, has options, someone who, everyone probably wants to date group 2. Like group 2 is a really great catch, that kind of thing. Or they may say how are you single? Why hasn't someone else snapped you up yet? That kind of thing. They may even be a little bit suspicious, why have they been single? It's almost like they're looking at you you're too good to be true. What's the catch here? But they're interested and they're intrigued. And I think part of them does a little bit of a challenge. And so, they're going to be actively pursuing you. Pretty, how do I put it? They're going to be pretty transparent in the fact that they're trying to get with you, they're not, playing hard to get or anything like that. You might be playing hard to get. And maybe that's why they think you have other offers. I don't know. But they're going to actively pursue you and they are going to be strategic about it. They're going to be trying to court you, trying to woo you, trying to impress you kind of thing. And with the Fool card, it comes from a place of genuinely being interested in you as a person, not just from a superficial, I'm physically attracted to you place, although they are definitely physically attracted to you. But it's more than that. I'm hearing they really like your hair. There's something about your hair that they really like. But yeah, they're pretty straightforward in the fact that they want to date you, And so the way they're perceiving you in the very beginning is almost a little bit of putting you on a pedestal kind of thing, because they're looking at you I guess, like I said, you're too good to be true. But I think there is a part of them that recognizes because group 1 had a strong feeling of their future spouse romanticizing them. I don't feel like your future spouse is doing that, because they're a little bit more, like I said, suspicious. They're group 2 seems too good to be true. What's the catch here? But they're interested. You're almost like a mystery that they want to solve. And it could be too that maybe you're more reserved, maybe you're more introverted than them, because they seem pretty extroverted. And so it could be that you're not saying a whole lot, and so they want to know more. There's this feeling of, I want to know more. I want to figure out group 2. And with that Six of Wands there, like I said, they do enjoy a challenge. And I won't go so far as to say that they're looking at you like a conquest or anything like that, because they do have serious intentions towards you, you know, like they do genuinely want to date you, get to know you better. And like I said, you're a mystery to be solved. So they're going to be asking you a lot of questions about yourself, trying to get to know you. And they're very talkative. They're very chatty. And I think if you're a quieter person, especially when you're meeting someone new, like maybe you open up more when you get to know somebody, but if you tend to be a little bit more quieter, especially on, you know, when you're first getting to know someone, you don't know someone that well, or maybe on a very first date, you tend to be a little bit quieter. I think that's going to sort of make them talk even more, you know, because they're not someone who deals well with silence. I'm like that. When I'm dating someone or getting to know someone, I can get super chatty because I'm nervous. And so like I have to fill that silence. I'm not like that with people that I know, but I can't take it. I can't take the silence if I don't know you that well. I feel the need to fill it. And so I feel like your future spouse is going to be the one leading the conversation, talking more. Even though they want to get to know you better, I feel like they can't take that silence. And so, and it's like the less you talk, the more I want to know. And so they're going to be very chatty, asking you a lot of questions kind of thing. And if you prefer to be a listener, then that could be something that maybe makes you a little bit nervous that they're asking you so many questions and you're like trying to put it back off on them, you know, like, no, tell me about you kind of thing. So I could see that dynamic, a little bit of a push and pull there. Now, once you two are actually in a relationship, your future spouse is looking at this like this was fate. We were meant to be together, and I think that part of that also comes from them feeling kind of proud of themselves, you know. They might boast a little bit like, yeah, you weren't feeling it, or yeah, you were being kind of distant, or you were playing hard to get, or I know you were dating other people, I know you were talking to other people, but I won, you know, like I got you. I feel like they kind of pride themselves on being a charmer with this King of Cups. Like, you know, they know they are someone who's really good at reading people's emotions and that kind of thing, and they may brag a bit like, yeah, you were a tough cookie, or you were a hard puzzle to solve, but I did it kind of thing. I feel like they just feel that comes from a place of just teasing you, but I feel like they genuinely are really grateful that they get to be with you and that this all worked out. And with this Ace of Wands, I think that they're just super excited. They're super excited about everything that they want to do with you. They're definitely someone who likes to plan a lot of dates. They like to plan a lot of activities. And I think you tend to be, I don't know, they're telling me self-contained. You might be like a homebody, or someone who likes to spend time by themselves, or someone who tends to do their own thing, maybe you've been single for a while, you've gotten used to being independent, and they kind of pull you out of your shell a lot. And I think that they like to do that. You know, they like to, because I think if you were as extroverted as they are, they wouldn't really like that. Like there's something there where they really like how you balance each other out. They really appreciate you for how you're different to them. And I think that's part of what makes you interesting or so intriguing to them, is that you do have these kind of significant differences, and they really value, they really appreciate that. They think it keeps it interesting, like that push and pull, they like that. And with this Queen of Swords, regardless of your gender, I feel like this is how they see you. They see you as someone who's a bit more aloof. They see you as someone who's a bit more mysterious. They see you as a little bit colder, like you don't wear your heart on your sleeve like they do, like you don't announce to the world how you're feeling the way that they do. You're harder to read. And yet they feel like they figured you out a little bit, and they like that. They like that you let them in. They like that they earned that. They like that they took that time to really try to kind of break through this hard outer shell that you have. And they really like that. It's like they feel privileged. They feel privileged that you opened up to them. You know, they recognize that you don't open up. You're not vulnerable with just anybody. And so it feels really privileged to them that you trusted them, because I feel like trust is a big thing with you. You don't trust very easily. They appreciate and they value that they earned your trust. And I feel like they have a lot of respect for that. You know, like they really respect that you made them work for it. You know, that you didn't share your whole life story on the first date. You know, that you sort of slowly opened up to them bit by bit, and that they had to earn that trust. I feel like they have a lot of respect for that. They do. And I think it's kind of almost like a nice reward for them as you two are dating and time starts to pass. They see you become more playful. They see you let your guard down. They see you be sillier. They see you be more vulnerable. And I feel like it's so special to them because they know not everybody gets to see this softer side to you. So, I mean, you may have like resting witch face, let's call it that. Or you may come across as someone who's very serious, very cold, almost like heartless, to some people if they really misread you. But I feel like you're harder to get to know. You're not an open book. You are very private. And who you are isn't really this. That's sort of the armor that you wear to cope with life and to get through life. And I think you've probably been hurt a lot. You probably have some scars beneath that armor that you're protecting, that wounds that you don't want reopened. And like I said, you don't trust easily. It's almost giving me sort of the attitude that Rihanna had on her Anti album with like Kiss It Better, or it's been a minute. What's the name of that song? My brain's fuzzy because I'm filming this really early in the morning. Where she says she's a savage. Don't need like a white horse and a carriage. What is that song? Needed Me. You almost have that vibe. That's your vibe. When you meet your future spouse, that on the surface seems like your vibe. You almost have this energy of like, don't come at me, don't approach me, don't talk to me, unless you're coming correctly, kind of thing. Like, don't even try to get with me if you're not going to put in the effort, if you're not serious. Like, if you're just, a player, like, don't apply. Like, I'm not interested. And it may be like, if you're a woman interested in a man, it could be like you're just done with men, at this time. Like, you're over it. You're just feeling like, I've known so many liars, so many cheaters. I'm just done with it. I'm tired of being with men who don't respect women. I'm sick of it. Or if you're a man interested in a woman and you're watching this and you feel like a lot of women have just been after you for your money or what you can do for them, whatever, or you've had a lot of women cheat on you, lie to you, whatever. There's just this feeling of like, don't, don't mess with me. Like, if you don't want me, why are you bothering me? I think that's a SZA lyric. You're in a SZA vibe too. Like, don't bother me. Like, if you already got somebody, that's a SZA lyric, why are you bothering me? You already got a woman, why are you bothering me? So you may have dealt with that, like people who were trying to date you, but really they were already in a full-blown relationship. It's like, why are you flirting with me? Why are you coming on to me? Why are you trying to get with me when you already got somebody? That kind of thing. So there's a reason why you're in this energy, and it's, to protect yourself. But I feel like who you are beyond that, like you are a soft-hearted, loving, affectionate person. Like, you are that, but it's like, I have to protect myself. You know, I can't have people continue to take my kindness for granted. I can't have people screw me over. I can't keep doing this. And so there's a reason for it. There's a good reason for it. But your future spouse feels very privileged, you know, that they earned your trust, that they broke through this barrier. Yeah. And I mean, and don't take it offensively, because I feel like we've kind of been skating around this idea that you're like a prize that they won. And I mean, I think on a superficial level, they may feel like, you know, maybe you were hard to get, but they're really grateful that you gave them a chance and that it worked out, kind of thing. And I do feel like they're aware that you don't just say yes to anybody, and so it makes them feel really good and really confident that eventually you said yes to them. But don't take it as they're looking at you like a challenge to be overcome, and then they're gonna be done with you, lose interest, because I don't want that narrative to be present when it's not. But just want to be clear, okay? Because this is your future spouse. All right. So once you're married, and by the way, like they could have Scorpio, Pisces, Cancer placements in their chart with this King of Cups. Just wanted to throw that out there, because again, gender doesn't matter, but this very much feels like this is your future spouse's energy. And that makes sense for them to come through in a divine masculine, because they've been taking all of the action towards you, right? Okay. And I mean, you've been in that divine feminine, again, regardless of gender. So like you've been receiving, you know, like their advances and deciding whether or not, you know, you want to move forward with them or not, which eventually you do choose to, right? Okay. Once you're married to them, we've got the Page of Cups, we have Temperance, we have Seven of Pentacles, we have Death, we have the Hierophant, and we have the Eight of Wands. These two cards here are interesting on the end, the Seven of Pentacles and the Eight of Wands being next to each other like this. There's this attitude with your future spouse where they feel like, I'm so glad I was patient. I'm so glad I went at your pace, you know, like I'm so happy to be married to you, kind of thing. But I think there's also this feeling for them like, I wish that I had met you sooner, or I wish that things had progressed quicker. Like I'm grateful that I was patient, but I almost wish that we had just known each other sooner. There's just something about it to where they're almost like a little bit remorseful, you know, or they wish that things could have been different so that you two could have gotten together sooner. Because they just sort of look at things that they've been through in their life and they're like, you know, I wish I had group 2 with me there, you know, either to support me through a hard time or to share with me in my happy moments, to celebrate with me. You know, like there are just certain memories that I feel like would be happier, would be better if I had had group 2 there with me. And so at this point, you know, there's a very deep attachment that your future spouse feels towards you, group 2, a very deep attachment. And they take marriage with the Hierophant card very seriously. They are not entering into this marriage just thinking it's a piece of paper, or, you know, we could just get divorced later. You know, like to them, marriage is forever. You know, they're not someone who really believes in divorce. They're the type of person that they would do everything in their power to make sure that the marriage lasts. They would go to couples counseling. You know, I know sometimes people who are religious will go and they'll do counseling with their priest or something like that. But they are 100% like, divorce just isn't an option. Like, when I'm marrying you for forever, and we are gonna work through whatever comes up. And I'm like fully committed to making this work. You know, I don't think that your future spouse handles failure very well. And so they kind of are approaching this with a success-oriented mindset. Like, I want this to be a success because I'm a successful person. and you mean something to me, and you're always going to be a priority to me, and so I can't lose this. And so I think they are like quite traditional in that way. And I think when they date you, it's like a proper courtship kind of thing. But yeah, like for them, it's like whatever it takes, you know, with the Temperance card being here, like however many compromises I have to make, like whatever conflicts need to be resolved, we just need to do it, you know, and I'm willing to do my part if you're willing to do your part kind of thing. And with this Death card here, this is a very, very healing connection for both of you. I feel like you don't really see your future spouse's vulnerable side until you're married. Like, you may think you see it when you're dating them, but it doesn't really come to the surface until you're in a relationship with them. You know, I think a lot of this was so focused on them trying to break through your walls and get to know you deeper. But it's like you don't really crack the surface of them. And it wouldn't surprise me if they're like a Scorpio or something. You don't really crack the surface of them until you're married. And so it may be a surprise to you, some of the things you discover about your future spouse after you two are married. And it's not like a negative thing. It's just like, wow, I never knew that they, you know, had some of these feelings, or they've had certain life experiences, or, you know, you may be surprised at how much your future spouse has overcome in their life, how much they've had to heal from. And so it's going to be, I think, almost like a source of comfort to you that, you know, you two have more in common maybe than you initially realized. And I think especially if you're interested in a man, if you think about it, you know, men tend to be socialized to not express their feelings. And so it would make a lot of sense to me that, you know, it's once you are married and, you know, you've reached like the highest level of commitment that they finally feel safe to kind of express that. And with the Page of Cups here, it's funny because I feel like your future spouse is very emotionally intelligent when it comes to knowing how to support someone else, or knowing how to comfort someone else kind of thing, knowing how to read someone else's emotions, yet they're more of a newcomer when it comes to expressing their feelings. And so I feel like they look at you as someone who is a little bit better at that than them, because you've already done that process while you two were dating. And so they're almost going to be looking to you like, can I slowly open up to you about this? And can you like help me feel comfortable to express it? And so it's like what they did for you when you two were dating is something you're now going to do for them once you two are married, which I think is going to be really nice. And it's funny too. It's like, I feel like you didn't even realize that your future spouse had all of this emotional depth to them until you're actually married. And I think for them, they're still, you know, starting to get more of your playful side, more of your relaxed side, more of your vulnerable side. And so that makes them feel comfortable to open up to you on a deeper level as well. I also feel like with you, there's something about you that kind of always keeps your future spouse guessing. I feel like you two always kind of continuously surprise each other, and it's really nice how your connection kind of slowly evolves over time. And it's almost like a kaleidoscope, and it's like as we keep turning this wheel, right, this wheel of fortune, as we keep turning this wheel and the seasons pass and we're getting to know each other more and more and more deeply over the years, from the same pieces, new pictures are being formed. It's like you two get to know each other in like these fragments. And then those fragments eventually come together to create this, you know, certain story, right? So it's like piecing together these different puzzle fragments to make some new picture. And so I feel like you two, you know, you don't hand each other the story of your lives. and the story of who you are on a silver platter. You know, you make each other work for it. In the beginning, it just seems like your future spouse is doing all of that work. But I feel like once you're married, you start to see that there's more to your future spouse than what you realized. I think you had a certain idea of them in your head, and I just feel like you just didn't realize how emotionally resilient and strong your future spouse is. I just feel like there's certain life experiences that your future spouse has gone through that they don't share with you until you're married, that kind of just shocks you a bit. And I know we're getting more into how you view them, but I feel like it's important. It's important to acknowledge that and to share that. One thing I'll also say, and this is just kind of a separate message here, but I feel like your future spouse has so much respect for your work ethic, and I feel like they don't fully realize like how much you do in a single given day until you two move in together or you're married. Like, they just don't realize how much you do. There may be something about your work that they don't realize is so like intensive, or there may just be something about your day-to-day routine that they're like, wow, that's really impressive that group 2 does all of that. Or maybe you're super neat and tidy and they're really like, wow, like they really keep the house looking amazing. Or maybe you're a good cook and they're like amazed that you put so much effort into every meal. It's gonna vary. There could be a hobby that you really enjoy that you invest a lot of time in, but there's something about your work ethic and how much you do in a single day that they just really admire and respect. And again, they don't realize that about you until they're either living with you or married. Okay, let's just get some more details now about your connection. All right, these are just going to be open-ended messages, whatever Spirit wants to share with you. I'm not going to ask a question, just whatever they want to come through. Okay, we have listen, intuition, don't talk, hear what they are really saying to start us off. And I feel like this is Spirit kind of advising you in the very beginning. Be very careful not to project past negative experiences with love and dating onto your future spouse. It's okay to be careful. It's okay, if people have to earn your trust, if you are a little bit more guarded, a bit more reserved, in that Queen of Swords energy. Like, it's understandable given what you've been through, and I want to be careful not to in any way like invalidate that. However, I think Spirit is saying, use your intuition though. Like, really hear what they're saying, and don't count them out because they seem like a charmer, or they seem like a flirt, or you're questioning, are they just telling me what I want to hear? What are their motives? What are their intentions? It's okay to sort of ask those questions internally, but connect to your intuition. Use that here, because if you think through this logically or just in your mind, you could overthink it, you could project those past experiences onto your future spouse, and you could risk not really giving them a chance or slowing down the progression of your connection if you just aren't taking them seriously, if you think they're just a player, or they're out to get something from you and leave you high and dry kind of thing. Okay, now with the winter season card being here, this could signify a couple different things. With December, January, February, the winter season, this could be when you end up meeting your future spouse. This could also signify that this is kind of your attitude when you meet your future spouse. You're really cold, you're really frosty, you're not giving them much of a chance. You are closed off to love, you're over it, you're over, like we were talking about, maybe you're just over men in general or over women in general kind of thing. And so with the rebirth card being next to it, it's like winter going into spring, right? Like you slowly starting to warm up to them. So it could be describing that dynamic that we've already kind of touched on in your tarot, or you can take this card literally to mean that that's when you're going to meet them. So just take what resonates, okay? Now with rebirth being here, new beginnings and healed, I feel like that's picking up on this death card energy here as well. This is going to be, you know, probably the most healthy connection you've ever been in, they've ever been in. There's a realness here. There's an emotional rawness, you know, to this connection. And I think it's because you two end up building that solid foundation because you slowly get to know each other over time, and that trust is earned. You know, it's not just freely given, it's earned. Now with this truth card here, I do feel like this is saying, listen, your future spouse is an honest person. They are. And it may seem like on the surface that they're just trying to charm you, but they really are honest. They are. And you can trust them. I feel like Spirit just wants to give you that reassurance here and also tell you that they will be faithful to you. So you don't have to worry about that. Now with the nostalgia card here, again, this could be talking about the risk of projecting, you know, what an ex did onto your future spouse kind of thing. But I also feel like this connection sort of brings you back to those feelings of falling in love for the very first time, like before you ever had your heart broken. What did that feel like? And that's how it's going to feel when you're falling for your future spouse. Like, I've never been hurt before. You know, it's going to feel very liberating, very healing, very freeing. And with this perspective card, remember how I said, like, you two are very different in a lot of ways. And so this is very much like opposites attract kind of dynamic here. And they do offer you a different perspective and help you open up your mind, and you do the same thing for them. Now with air sign here, we've already said they could have some water sign placements. They could also have some air sign placements, which would make sense given that we had Sailor Mercury here. And we did talk about them being very good with their words, very charming in that way. And so they could be an Aquarius, Gemini, or Libra. I'm especially feeling Gemini. They could have some Gemini placements. Okay. Let's go ahead and get some houses now, just to get some more information, and this will end your reading. Group 2, their relationship with their future spouse. Group 2, we have the 8th house, so yeah, a lot of healing, and they definitely could have some Scorpio placements, a lot of healing. A lot of healing happening. This rebirth card, that's the death card again. Scorpio, Scorpio, Scorpio. There's going to be a lot of physical intimacy between you two that I think, you know, is deeper, let's just say. And is, I think, more emotionally charged than what you're used to. I think that this entire relationship is very therapeutic. It's very healing. And I also feel like you two could be soulmates. There could be a spiritual connection here, which is why there's so much depth, why there's so much healing, why there's so much learning from each other going on here. Okay, and then we've got the 7th house here. Now, the 7th house is talking about, you know, your interpersonal relationships. So it could be that meeting your future spouse ends up helping you to connect with other soul family members. I wouldn't be surprised. It could also say that your social circle widens as a result of meeting your future spouse, which would make a lot of sense if they're more extroverted than you are. Let's get one more house. And we have the 10th house. So your status could elevate as a result of being with your future spouse. So, you know, maybe they're more financially well off than you. Maybe they come from a well-known family. Or it could be that you two achieve a lot together. You know, you help each other elevate in status. And so maybe your financial status improves as a result of being with this person, or could be possibly that this is a more specific message, but it could be that your future spouse is a public figure in some way. And so, as a result, you are, more well known as a result of being with your future spouse. If they have some level of fame or a social media following or something like that, you could, be more in the limelight than what you're used to. Again, that's a more specific message, not going to resonate for everyone. All right, group 2, that was your reading. Thank you so much for letting me tap into your energy today. I hope that you're doing really well. I'm wishing you the very best, and I'll see you in my next one. Please take care. Welcome to your reading. So today we're taking a look at how your future spouse's perception of you changes over time. So we're going to start off with the Sailor Moon deck, these cards here, and we're going to take a look at how they view you when you first start talking. So not quite the first impression. I do have a separate video on that that I can post in the description box if I remember. I'm going to do my best to try to remember. So this is just when they're starting to get to know you. What's their perception of you? How are they viewing the connection? Then we'll take a look at the Pastel Journey Tarot, which is these cards here. And this will describe how your future spouse views you, how they see the connection once you two are actually dating or in a relationship, once you've labeled it. And then with the Crystal Unicorn Tarot, these cards over here, we'll take a look at how your future spouse feels about you two once you're actually married. So how is their perception of you and the relationship changing over time? Then we'll just get some general messages after that. Okay. So we have the Queen of Swords, the Moon, the Four of Cups, and the Chariot to start us off. Now listen, this isn't exactly the easiest start to this connection. There's a lot of uncertainty here. And honestly, there's a lot of hesitancy on your part and their part. You know, with the Chariot, it's very questionable which way is this gonna go. And I feel like this could be for a few different reasons. I feel like maybe you both are a bit preoccupied. I think both of you are guarded. Both of you have trust issues. Both of you don't trust easily. Like, both of you are not really seeing the blessing that's right in front of you. And I feel like, you know, the attraction is there. You know, with the Chariot card being Sailor Venus, you know, the physical attraction is there. the intellectual attraction is there. Like, it's, you guys have all of the ingredients for an amazing relationship, but it's like both of us are hesitating. Both of us are asking, do I really want this? And I think it just comes from a fear of not wanting to get hurt, not wanting to get screwed over, not wanting to repeat past, mistakes in love. And so you may also find yourself asking your friend's opinion, asking your family's opinion, and then you get confused and they could be doing the same thing. It feels like a lot of mirroring. It's almost like you both are too similar in this way. So it's like, someone's got to take a chance here. Someone's got to move this forward. Someone's got to be more open. Who's it going to be? And it could be that, there's the feelings there, but like no one wants to cop to them. No one wants to admit that they are attracted to the other person. And it could be that, there's some other factors involved. Maybe you two work together, so it could be awkward if things don't work out. Or it could be that you two have mutual friends, and so if it doesn't work out, how's it going to affect the friendships kind of thing. It just feels like there's a lot of hesitations, and there's a lot of not seeing the other person very clearly and not even realizing how similar you two are, okay? Group 2 had like one person who was super guarded and the other person who was actively pursuing the other person. With you all, it's like both of us are hesitating, for whatever reason. Let me see if I can get some more clarity on this, because I feel like maybe there's some additional things that we're not quite seeing here. But they are very much physically attracted to you, very much intellectually attracted to you. I feel like you two have amazing conversations. We've got the Knight of Cups and the Ten of Cups. Yeah, I feel like there's this fear that I am more attracted to them than they are attracted to me. They're just looking to have a good time with me, whereas like I'm really catching serious feelings, but you're not realizing the other person is also catching serious feelings. And so I think honestly, like both of you may have a crush on each other without realizing that it's a mutual feeling. And so there's this fear, like I don't want to put myself out there, and how embarrassing is that going to be if the feelings aren't reciprocated? If we work together or we have friends in common, like how embarrassing is that going to be, if they aren't feeling the same way that I'm feeling? And so I think that's where this is coming from. Eventually you two do get past that. Can we get any more information on how Group 3's future spouse views them initially? Queen of Swords. Okay, you're this Queen of Swords to them. Yeah, so they are not realizing that you are emotionally, invested in them. They're not realizing that you're catching feelings. They view you as someone who's really smart, someone who's really clever, well-spoken, witty. They also view you as someone who's really tough, and so you're difficult to approach. Like the Queen of Swords, they're not like, a soft, cuddly kind of, person, they are someone that you don't want to mess with, you don't want to get into an argument with the Queen of Swords. There's something about you that's quite intimidating, and it may be because they view you as someone who's so smart. Especially if you work together, they could have like a lot of respect for you and think you're really good at what you do, and so they're intimidated by you in that way. They may feel like you're gonna turn them down. You may be a little bit blunt when you talk, or really, you just lay it out there for people. You don't try to cushion so much what you say, and you're very honest. You're very truthful. You cut through the BS and you say how things are, and so they may worry that you might turn them down and just kind of crush their feelings a bit. And so, yeah, I think ultimately they're a bit intimidated. but they don't realize you are also crushing on them and you are also afraid. You know, the Queen of Swords, that's not someone who's going to find it easy to express their feelings. This is going to be someone who might lie to themselves and say that they're not crushing, they're not developing feelings because they don't want to. They don't want to be emotionally vulnerable. They don't want to need anybody else. You know, the Queen of Swords is very independent, and that might also be why they're a bit intimidated by you, because you seem so independent, you seem so good on your own kind of thing. With the Three of Pentacles being here, you really might work with this person. You might be in the same career field. Yeah. But they really respect you in terms of what you do for your work, or you may have a hobby that you're really talented at. They admire your work ethic. They don't see you even remotely as lazy, you know. They see you as someone who's really competent, someone who has their life together. You seem really poised, you know. You seem maybe a bit type A, like you just seem like you have your ducks in a row. Even if you don't, even if you're really secretly a mess, this is how they view you, okay? So yeah, I think that they're intimidated when we get right down to it. But I also feel like you are also, you know, afraid of your own feelings, afraid to admit that you have feelings. You know, you're both crushing on each other from afar, and both of you are finding it difficult to admit that you're really attracted to each other. And again, like, it's very strong physical attraction and a very strong intellectual attraction. So I think intellectually you two are on the same level. You may share a lot of the same interests. Now, once you actually start dating, with the Nine of Swords, the King of Cups, the Empress, the Nine of Wands, and the Princess of Pentacles, I do think that it's a lot of effort trying to make time to see each other. I feel like both of you are super busy, quite honestly. I think both of you really try hard to make time in your schedule, and it kind of wears both of you out a little bit, because I think both of you just have too much going on. Maybe both of you work in a demanding career field here, or both of you are just type A people who have a lot going on. But yeah, it feels like it's kind of a bit tiring, you know, like trying to make time for each other. And I wonder too if maybe there's something else going on. You know, if it's long distance, if there's like a time zone difference, that could be creating some stress. It just feels like there's some kind of stress. And it's not coming from you two being incompatible or anything like that. It's just coming from sort of the demands of other things going on in your life. Maybe one of you has a sick relative that they're having to take care of. You know, maybe they have a family member on hospice or something. I don't know. There's just something else going on. And it could be so many different things. I'm just throwing out examples here. It could be one of you is trying to start their own business with this Princess of Pentacles, or they have a side hustle. It just feels like there's something that's a distraction. And so I don't know if it's, honestly, it seems like a lot of mirroring is going on. It seems like both of you have this problem. It's not just one of you. But I feel like when you two are together, oh man, like now, like before we had the physical attraction and the intellectual attraction, now we have the emotional intensity coming in. And you two are so emotionally compatible. And I think it's because you two are so similar. Like, you have similar temperaments. You deal with conflict and problems in the same way. You guys both think the same way. Yeah, I mean, you two see life through a very similar lens. You're definitely not opposites attract like, you know, some of the other groups here. You two are so similar, and sometimes that can create friction as well, you know? When you're super similar, sometimes you don't realize how hard it can be sometimes to deal with someone who's like yourself, because your shortcomings are their shortcomings too, just like your strengths are their strengths too. And so I feel like you're learning, both of you are learning a lot about yourselves through knowing each other also. Now, in terms of how they view you, They're starting to see your softer side, and they like it a lot. They like it a lot. This is where before they were just crushing on you, but now they're like full blown in love with you. I really feel like your softer side is something that they just truly kind of appreciate, because kind of similar to another group, they realize that not everybody gets to see that side to you, so they feel really privileged to get to see it. But also, I think when you're both so busy, both so ambitious, both so goal oriented, there's a little bit of perfectionism going on. You both want to try to be as successful as you can be. Both of you might be workaholics kind of thing. When you have that kind of dynamic going on, to be able to have these intimate moments where you just allow yourself to relax, to break down if you need to break down, to ask for help, to just be human for a moment and not try to be so perfect, not try to be so successful, to just enjoy your time with someone without it being productive, without needing to achieve something to feel good about yourself, to be able to just be present in the moment and enjoy the moment for what it is, I think is so nice, so comforting to be able to be that way with each other. And I think you both really value that. And that's why, as busy as your schedules is, well, both of you are, you both try to make time for each other. And I mean, it's really hard, it's really stressful, but I think both of you almost have this need to validate yourselves through your work, through your accomplishments. You may feel really bad about yourself if you don't have a productive day. And so to be able to just spend time with each other, to enjoy each other's company without needing to overcompensate later for that missed time where you weren't productive, so to speak, and to realize that getting to know each other, spending quality time with each other, that is productive. You are investing in an area of your life that you have both neglected for quite a long time. And so it's like, I can't really talk about how they view you without talking about how you view them, because it's so similar. It's so similar. I think both of you need to nurture each other. Both of you need to help each other understand that your connection to each other and your connections with everyone that you love are just as important as the success that you achieve, in your career or whatever. Like, it's just as important. You both need to lead a more balanced life. You both need to take a step back and realize there's more to life than checking off boxes. There's more to life than achieving one thing, because it's like we reach a certain level of success and then we want more. We achieve one thing and then we immediately start working on the next. And at what point in time do we just enjoy our success, just enjoy how far we've made it without thinking about what are we going to do next, or just enjoy life without there having to be some kind of purpose behind it, without feeling the need to be so productive all the time, realizing that the time we spend together is valuable, the time we invest in ourselves is valuable. So I think you both help each other learn the importance of work-life balance, learn the importance of self-care, learn the importance of maybe kind of changing some of your values here, just so that they're more balanced, right? So you're not both so overly focused on work. And that theme kind of continues into your marriage, because with the Devil and the Tower card here, I think at least one of you is going to go through a major career shift as a result of, marrying the other person. This could be moving to be with that person. This could be you starting to see that, or them starting to see that their job is just too draining and they need to step back and, you know, do something that gives them more balance. Both of you can't keep working at the level that you're operating at and be in a relationship with each other, be married to each other. Like, there just has to be more time in your schedule. I think both of you are working overtime. You know, both of you are just working too much, trying to do too much, and there has to be a scaling back. You may need to say no to more people in your life. Maybe you're doing too many things for too many other people and not doing enough for yourself. So I feel like, you know, there's a bit of a reckoning here. Like, there has to be some changes made. One of you may relocate to be with the other person. Now, also with the Devil card here and the Tower, there's definitely so much physical passion between, you know, you two. I think physical touch is going to be a big love language for you two. With the World, you're going to achieve. It's like, yeah, we need to take a step back. We need to find more balance in our lives, but we're going to lead a fuller, more complete, more happy, more successful, more abundant life as a result. You know, it's like when we both stop working ourselves into the ground, when we start to say no more, when we start to have better boundaries, when we stop being so hard on ourselves, it's like then we actually find more success more easily, you know? And we start to redefine what success and abundance means to us. And so I think there's a whole value shift here. There's a whole shift in life philosophy, you know? I think you two are really, really good for each other because you help each other work through the same issues. And you guys understand each other so deeply because you are so similar. Okay? And so I know your reading had a different tone than what I was expecting, but I think it's because you two are so similar. And so, you know, looking at you from your future spouse's perspective is like looking in the mirror. You know, like you're just, like if you're watching this, for example, and you're a woman interested in a man, your future spouse is like, well, she's just the female version of me. You know, like we're the same. Like looking at you is like looking in the mirror, you know? And so sometimes that's hard because, you know, what I don't necessarily like about myself, I might not like about you either. But what I love about myself, I love about you too, because we're so similar. And I get you. I get you. I understand you. I see you. I see you. Okay. Let's get some more information now. We're just going to get general messages about your connection now. Okay, group 3, we have lessons, learn from the past, ending toxic cycles and past life lessons. Okay, this explains kind of like a lot because I do feel like both of you probably have, you know, some kind of soulmate connection, some kind of soul contract going on here because you two really are learning from each other a lot. Hey, Miss Gracie. What you doing? Hello. Hello. That's fire. You doing your cat cameo? Okay, fuzzy boy. Careful. There we go. Okay. Anyway, you both are learning a lot through each other. And, you know, there's definitely, like I said, like looking in a mirror kind of thing going on. And I do feel like that does make, at times, your relationship challenging. But at the same time, it's like, yes, there's challenge, but it's like, with that challenge comes so much reward on the other side. And so, yeah, you don't have the easiest relationship, but it's also not stale. It's not boring. It's not a relationship where you're complacent. And I feel like that's not your personality anyway. You're not a complacent person, group 3. You are an overachiever. You are a go-getter. So I think anybody who made you feel that way, you wouldn't be able to stay with. You would feel restless. You need to be challenged. You need to be with someone who's not always going to agree with you. You need to be with someone who is intellectually on your level. You need to be with someone who understands your ambition, who understands your need to achieve. And, you know, your future spouse does that. Now with crossroads and yes, this is pretty significant. So this is saying, like, I think picking up on this hesitancy that we were feeling before, because I think there may be something here where you might end up having to say no to one opportunity to be with your future spouse. So this could be someone else. This could be a job opportunity that would take you away from your future spouse. This could be you having to relocate, like we were talking about before. With this longing card, missing you, on their mind, time apart, this could mean this is a long distance connection and you have to move to be with them, or they have to move to be with you. Someone has to make a change. Someone has to say yes, because there's two different paths here. Do I stay where I'm at, or do I move and take a chance on love? What do I do? And this could also mean, you know, maybe one of you travels for work as well, or maybe one person is in the military. And so if you end up being with someone in the military, you might have to move in the future when you weren't planning on it. You know, if they get restationed somewhere else, they get deployed, they might be gone for a while. You know, there's other factors to consider. It's not, you know, it's an extenuating circumstance. You know, are you going to be comfortable with that lifestyle? Because it can be a lot being a spouse of someone who's in the military. I'm just throwing out examples of, you know, what this could be possibly talking about here, okay? Now with friendship here, this could be what we were suspecting before. Maybe you two have some mutual friends in common, or maybe you two start off as friends and you don't realize both of you have a crush on each other. And that's why both of you are afraid to admit how you feel, because you don't want to mess up the friendship. Okay? But I also feel like as your marriage progresses, or as your dynamic progresses, you will have a friendship as well. You won't just be romantic partners. With finances, I feel like we've talked about this so much. Both of you being like workaholics, both of you being very focused on your career, possibly being co-workers, and that's why there's this initial hesitancy, or your career is complicating this, like, you know, your job is in one place, their job is in another place, or you get a work opportunity far away. Do I take it? Do I stay? All of that, like, you know, there's some kind of factor going on here. With divine timing, you know, there might be, I could see this happening, like you meet each other, you're friends, or you work together, whatever, you're afraid to admit that you have feelings, and then push comes to shove, you know, they get a job opportunity far away and they move. Am I going to say how I feel? Are we going to do long distance? You know, like I could see there just being something complicated in your story here. And it's like, because one or both of you is willing to work through this problem kind of early on in your relationship, it just strengthens your bond. It shows both of you how serious the other person is. And I feel like it gives you a sense of security early on in your relationship. So like, yes, it was inconvenient, it was stressful, you know, it would, whatever, but we worked through it together, and like now we have a strong partnership as a result of it. And also with timing, I mean, if you're wondering like, where is this person? You know, Spirit is just telling you to have faith, which I know is a difficult message to sometimes hear over and over again, but it is the message, okay? All right, so let's just get some houses now. And then I know we got the King of Cups. Let's just get maybe some other zodiac signs for you guys. Let's do that first. So this could be, you know, prominent placements in their birth chart, group 2's future spouse. Okay, we have Aquarius to start off. We've got Taurus, so we've got air and earth. And we have Aries, we have fire, we have all the elements. It's funny though, because Taurus people are like really hard workers. They appreciate the finer things in life. They're really stable, really solid people. And then we have Aries, who are like go-getters. You know, they want to be first, they want to be winners, they want to be successful. And then we had Aquarius, and those people tend to be like revolutionaries, right? They think in unique ways. What makes Aquarius people all the same is that they're all different. You know, Aquarius people have this unique mindset that makes them really good with like new technologies, you know, that makes them good with thinking about how to solve a problem in a way that no one else has before. You know, there's a level of creativity to Aquarius people, you know, and they're the opposite sign to Leo, which rules the house of creativity with the 5th house. So, you know, it's all related. But yeah, all of those signs make sense, you know, for kind of the traits we were getting for your future spouse. Okay, now let's go ahead and get into more details about your marriage. Group 3. I hope I didn't call you group 2 earlier. We have the 3rd house. So yeah, there could, I feel like this is speaking to a couple different things. One, that intellectual compatibility we were talking about. You two probably have a really nice, easy rapport with one another. I could see you two having really great banter back and forth with each other. And I think your minds process things in a similar way. But also with the 3rd house, this could be talking about the friendship again. So this starting off as a friendship, or you two having mutual friends in common, the same social circle. We have the 8th house. So yes, like we talked about before, a lot of passionate physical intimacy going on. But also with the 8th house, I do feel like both of you are being really secretive in the beginning about how you feel. You both are really private about your feelings. You're both slow to open up. And then also with the lessons here, I feel like there's a lot of healing that's going to happen. Okay, a lot of life lessons that come as a result of this marriage. And then we have the 2nd house, so finances. So this is the house of your material wealth, your personal finances, your belongings. So I definitely feel like this relationship is very much related to your career. We've gotten that message over and over and over again. So I feel like Spirit is just giving us a big green light, like, yes, you guys were on the right track with that. Okay. So group 3, this was your reading. I hope that you enjoyed it. Please take care, and I hope to see you in my next one.